Hey guys, it's Jenny. Welcome back to the Bookworms Buddy. It is time for spook season wrap up. Welcome back, guys. Welcome, new subscribers. Thank you all for your continued support. So I had a pretty good spook season. I read a total of 8 books, and most of them were decent stories. So let's just get started from the top. The first book that I read was The Resting Place, and this was by Camilla Sten. In this book, we have Eleanor, who has prosopagnosia, I think it's called. And what it is face blindness. It's a real thing where you can't recognize faces. Eleanor walks in on the murder of her evil grandmother. She was not a nice person, but she will not be able to recognize who the person was that murdered her grandmother. So you can imagine mounting anxiety is going on, and she wants to be able to remember what happened, who it was, and she'll never be able to recognize the person. She gets a phone call from a lawyer, and the lawyer lets her know that her grandmother left her a house. So she gets the bright idea of taking her boyfriend Sebastian and her Aunt Veronica to this house to figure out why grandmother was killed. She's always given a benefit of the doubt to her grandmother, even though she was not a nice person. But that's pretty much the story. I really did enjoy the story a lot. I liked the mystery. There was a lot of good mystery in this story. And I think it's definitely worth the read. I ended up rating this book 4 stars. Really enjoyed it. I will probably have to read more by Camilla Sten. Okay, the next book that I read was The Cousins by Karen M. McManus. She's the author of One of Us is Lying, which I've not read that book. But in this book, we are following Millie, Aubrey, and Jonah. And these 3 are cousins. They don't really know each other. They have not met their grandmother. But they get these invitations to go work at her resort. And their parents said, yes, you're going, because they were all cut off. Grandma cut all of them off, and they think that this is going to be a good way to get back into grandmother's good graces. So the 3 of them go and work at this resort. And there was a lot going on. A lot of mystery, a little bit thriller, not really a horror book like I thought it would be for spook season, but definitely worth the read. I ended up rating this 4 stars. Okay, the next book that I read was All Hallows, and this was by Christopher Golden. I was really excited about this one because this was actually spook season. It was trick-or-treating. I said, yes, this is going to be a great book. In this story, we have, what was the year? 1984, trick-or-treat, and all the kids are out trick-or-treating, and then these different children start showing up, and they're talking about how they need to be protected because the cunning man was coming to get them. This clearing in the forest shows up with this big tree, and it's not been there before, and people are beginning to wonder what is going on. I have to tell you, though, this was not what I thought it was going to be. I had an idea in my head about the cunning man, and I was all wrong. So I definitely feel like it's worth the read. There's a lot of good mystery in it. There's some areas of apprehension. Not like the best book that I've read, but not the worst. I ended up giving it 3 stars. So it's definitely worth the read. Okay, the next book that I read was The Night Parade by Ronald Malfi. You guys know I went on and on about this book. It was featured in my Thriller Thursday, so if you want to watch that, go ahead and check that out. You'll get more of a rundown of the story. But in this book, we are following David and his daughter Ellie, and there is a disease going on called Wanderer's Folly. people get nosebleeds. They start doing things they wouldn't normally do. They're seeing things, big hallucinations and stuff like that. Well, David's wife stepped forward and said that she would go in for testing because she was immune, and they wanted to figure out if they could solve whatever this was causing this, if they could get some kind of something that could help stop it. So she decided she would get tested on and see how things were changing and why she was immune. But they kept testing and testing and testing, and her being who she was like, if I can save these people, then I'm going to do it. But they just tested and tested until she was just worn out, and David's wife passed away. Well, now David is concerned about his daughter Ellie because she too is also immune to this disease. He has to get her out of there because they're going to come for her next, and he doesn't want his daughter, to face the same fate as his wife. And that's pretty much the story. They're on the run. They're trying to figure things out, stay away from the people they shouldn't be near, and he just wants to protect his daughter. So that's the story. It was fantastic. Absolutely loved it. 5-star rating. Pick this one up if you want to read a really good story. Again, not really like horror, but it was definitely a good thriller. Okay. The next book that I read was Haunting Adeline. This book was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. There is a very dark nature to this story. So they call it, dark romance. There's a lot more than just the romance part of the story. There is a lot of mystery elements, kind of like spooky elements because of the house that she's in, and thriller elements. Of course, the dark romance as well, but she's also being stalked. Adeline is. She gets this house. She's hearing weird things going on in the house, and on top of that, she's being stalked by this man. And I'm not going to say anything else because it could probably lead to giving a lot of things away. But there, like I said, a lot of dark elements, you guys. So, if you don't like the darker elements, then you probably don't want to pick this up because it does get pretty dark. But the story was fantastic. So lots of triggers in here. So I'm giving you a trigger warning with this one. So be careful if you decide to read it. I rated it 4 stars. The reason I rated it 4 stars is because one of our characters, which I don't want to mention anything because it can give something away, one of our characters does not have a lot of backstory. And it does not, doesn't give you any idea of why he is the way he is. There's no reason for him to be the way that he is. I felt like I needed a little bit more on him, and I just didn't get it. So, but anyway, it was worth 4 stars. If you don't mind dark romance, Haunting Adeline was really, really good. The next book that I read was Pen Pal, and this was by Dathan Arbach. I don't know how you say his last name. In this book, our character is not named. And that is just such I hate it. I hate when the character doesn't have a name, because I feel like there's a disconnect with the character because of that. But this man is kind of telling his story, trying to figure out how he got from point A to point B to point C. It starts out with him in school, 6 years old, and they send up balloons with messages. You know how they would do that, and then they'd float away and somebody else would find it and send the message back. Well, some kids would get messages, some didn't. All this kid got was a snapshot, a Polaroid, and that was it. And then the Polaroids kept coming. And that's pretty much the story. You're just trying to figure out who this person was that was doing this. And like I said, disconnect. I feel like the story is worth a read. I gave it 3 stars. So if you want to check it out, by all means, check it out. But, yeah, I just didn't get it. I mean, I don't understand why there can't be a name to a character. But I mean, the apprehension level did steadily go up in the story. So yeah, take a gander and see if you liked it. My niece really liked it, and my sister really liked the story. So I read it, and like I said, the story is worth the read. It just felt a disconnect with the main character. The next book that I read was Ghost Eaters, and this was by Clay McLeod Chapman. This book was something else. I don't even know how to even express thoughts on this. So you have Erin, and she is involved with Silas in the very beginning of the story. Well, as the story goes, they're broke up because you go forward in time. And she's always having to bail him out of whatever trouble he's in. They were big on drugs in the beginning. She cleaned up. He did not. So she's always having to bail him out. And then he dies. And she doesn't know what happened, but she wants to know what happened. Now she's desperately missing him and him being around. And they were very close. They went through a lot of stuff together, kind of thing. And she talks to this guy who can give her a drug that you can see dead people, and she really wants to see Silas again. So she gets on this drug, and she's addicted. And the strangest thing about this is this guy he's got an empire now because he's roping these people in with this drug. And when you're reading it, I swear I felt like the writer was on drugs when he wrote it, because you're like in this place and you can't leave it. It's like a world all of its own, and it skipped around. I felt like it was doing like jumps and stuff, and you didn't know it was doing jumps, if that makes any sense. And it just was way out in left field for me. I just kind of lost all, I don't know, interest in the story by the time I was done with it. I was just like, what did I just read? I rated this book 2 stars. I would not recommend this to anybody, really. But if you want to give it a try, let me know what your thoughts were on this down in the comments. Because, I don't know, am I the only one that just felt like I was on drugs reading it? Because, yeah, it was something else. The last book that I read for the month was The Children on the Hill by Jennifer McMahon. And this, I was told, first of all, that this was not very good. And I like Jennifer McMahon's writing. And I really enjoyed the story. I don't remember who it was that told me, kind of thing. Because I think it was when I did a book haul. I think it was last year that someone had come and said, it's not good. But I really enjoyed it. This is kind of a slight retelling of kind of like Frankenstein, and a very, very slight. We got Dr. Helen Hildreth, and she is a renowned psychiatrist, and she works with mentally ill patients, and she's got this house on the hill, and that's where she keeps all of her patients. She's got 2 grandchildren, Violet and let me see, did I write that down? Yeah, Violet and Eric. Sorry. Violet and Eric are her 2 grandkids, and they're huge into monsters. And I mean, Violet watches all the scary movies, and Eric's kind of following in their footsteps, and they are convinced that there really are monsters out there. This book flips back from 78 to present day. So when we come to present day, we're dealing with Lizzie and Charlie, which is Violet and Eric, but now they've like changed their names and everything because something horrible happens in their life, and this is where they move forward, and now they're different people. She still reflects on it. Charlie / Eric refuses to reflect on it. He wants nothing else to do with anything that went on. But now in present day, Violet is a monster hunter. She's got a podcast. She's got thousands and thousands of followers. She's got videos out there, and people just love her. Well, in present day, a girl's abducted, and she is out to hunt the monster because there was a monster spotted. and she is going to bring this little girl home. And that's pretty much the story. Like I said, it flips back and forth. So you see Violet and Eric as they're growing up with Helen, who is this psychiatrist, and the things that happen. Now, I can tell you this. There's a little girl that she brings home. I don't remember her name. Ruby? Or no, not Ruby. I can't remember what the little girl's name was. And she becomes their sister, pretty much. And, I mean, that's in the synopsis that somebody comes home. So, just letting you know that. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much the whole story of this. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the mystery of it. I liked Violet sleuthing and, you know, trying to bring these monsters to justice. And I just thought everything was just wonderfully written. It was very fluid. There was not a dull moment to me in this book. I really enjoyed it. So I ended up giving this 4 stars. If you haven't read this, then pick it up. Or if you haven't read any Jennifer McMahon, I really like her writing. So guys, that is what I read for spook season. And it's hard to believe that October is over and now we're in a new month. And it makes me sad because spook season is just my favorite time of the year ever. I didn't get a whole lot of spooky reads. I threw in a book that wasn't even on the TBR. I think there was 3 other books that I had picked that I didn't read, but I still read 8. Just because I threw in Pen Pal, I threw in Haunting Adeline, and I think that was the only 2 that I threw in that were extras. But that being said, I had a pretty good reading month. The Night Parade saved the spook season with a 5-star. I had 1 2-star, but overall it was pretty good. So what did you guys read in spook season? Let me know down in the comments below, or if you read any of these books, let me know your thoughts on those. But that's all I have for you guys today. Thanks for staying tuned, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.